A neighbor reacts with horror while recording a condominium fire that killed 4 small children at the Lake of the Ozarks. Good evening. Investigators are poring over the charred rubble of Tuesday night's fatal fire, hoping to determine the cause.
We begin tonight's team coverage with a live report from KRCG 13's Ashley Zavala, who's live at the scene of the fire with the latest.
Kermit and Megan, authorities continue to try and figure out what caused the fatal fire. 11 fire departments responded to the 4-alarm fire at Compass Point condos just before midnight Tuesday. Officials said 6 people were trapped inside. 2 adults eventually got out. 4 very young children did not. Officials said the 4 children are all between the ages of 2 and 5. They were cousins. They were celebrating a birthday of one of the cousins earlier that day. Fire officials believe the fire began on the 4th floor near the unit where the children resided. Fire officials said because there were deaths in the fire, it is considered a crime scene until proven otherwise.
So when we talk about investigation of this, we're not discounting criminal, but we're not saying that it is suspicious and it is possibly that either. It's just protocol that we do this to make sure the determination is correct.
The father of one of the victims survived the fire. Authorities are still investigating and gathering more information on what caused this tragedy. Reporting live in Osage Beach, Ashley Zavala, KRCG 13.
Okay, thank you, Ashley. That fire left mid-Missourians, including residents of Compass Point, in shock and disbelief.
KRCG 13's Ryan Rumbaugh was the first reporter on the scene this morning and spoke with neighbors who say the loss of the 4 children is devastating.
This area at the Lake of the Ozarks is typically quiet and peaceful. Tuesday night around 11:30, residents of Compass Point experienced something they'll never forget.
And I heard like an explosion, you know, like boom. Then we ran over and we looked, and this condo was on fire.
When I seen the flames, immediately, any human being watching that, all you can think of is, are there people in there? And then I looked and seen people hanging out of the window, so I knew there were people in there.
Then we found out there were children up in that unit, and yeah, it killed all of us.
6 people were trapped inside, a couple on the 3rd floor of the building, and 4 young children on the top floor.
Mike and Susan Hayes live on the 1st floor of the building. They got out within a few minutes. After they escaped, they turned their efforts into helping their neighbors to safety.
Went out the front door of our unit, and there was a lot of smoke, and I heard a man yelling, "Oh my God, oh my God." And so I ran in to get my wife and wake her up, and I woke her up and told her, I said, "We got a fire, we got to get out of here."
The wind and the flames was coming closer to our place, and I thought, well, I've got to get out. And then the flames were just everywhere, but with God's help, I got out.
The couple on the 3rd floor was brought to safety by fire crews. The 4 children didn't survive.
It's a helpless feeling when you know that there's people trapped in there and there's nothing you can do. It's just very overwhelming.
While this community is mourning the loss of 4 young lives, residents of Compass Point did their best to help rescue their neighbors. In Osage Beach, Ryan Rumbaugh, KRCG 13 News.
We are learning more about the 4 children who died in that fire.
KRCG 13's Elizabeth Hoffman tells us about the lives that were lost.
It was supposed to be an exciting week for Kyrie Helton. She was looking forward to her birthday when she would turn 2 years old on Thursday. Her first 3 cousins came for a party on Tuesday night. But instead of more birthday celebrations, family members will now be planning funerals for all 4 children.
I'm yelling at the top of my lungs, "Are you guys okay? Are you guys okay?" I heard some screaming inside the building.
But they were not okay. Kyrie Helton, along with her cousins Leanne Hendrickson, Joshua Hendrickson, and Ziza Bradshaw, all died in the condominium fire. The children were between the ages of 1 and 5. As the shock of the news turned to reality, a makeshift memorial was created this afternoon to honor those children who were lost. Reagan Matson lives in a nearby condo. She brought one of her own stuffed animals to the makeshift memorial, along with a note she wrote for the kids.
I wanted them to read it from heaven.
Simple words of comfort from a child.
I hope you feel better in heaven. Say hi to my kitten. You'll love her.
Small words that perhaps will provide comfort to an entire community. In Osage Beach, Elizabeth Hoffman.
I love you guys so much.
KRCG 13.
Funeral arrangements for all 4 of those children are now pending.
It has been a rough day for a lot of people at the Lake of the Ozarks, not the least of whom are the families of those 4 small children who are no longer with us.
We tip our hat to the emergency responders who had to battle not only the flames but their own emotions to get through it. And before we go tonight, we want to remind you of what the people there have endured today, as captured through the lens of KRCG 13 Chief Videographer Dave McAllister.
So we will say good night and see you again tomorrow.
Oh my God. This is terrible.
Last night at approximately 11:21, the City of Osage Beach Dispatch Center received a 911 call of a possible condo fire off Red Bud Passover Road at Compass Point Condominiums.
I went out the front door of our unit, and there was a lot of smoke, and I heard a man yelling, "Oh my God, oh my God."
The wind and the flames was coming closer to our place, and I thought, well, I've got to get out. And then the flames were just everywhere.
Turned around and looked out the deck, and nothing but fire.
Say hi.
We were made aware of the possibility of 4 children in the 4th floor.
We were worried about a child being in there, and then now we're hearing there were 4.
It's sad. The loss of children is very sad.
We're learning more details in the fatal fire investigation. I'm Megan Lane. We'll have a full report straight ahead.
Some say there's a birthday celebration in heaven today. I'm KRCG 13's Elizabeth Hoffman. I'll have more on the lives that were lost in this fire coming up.
Live from across mid-Missouri, this is KRCG 13, live at 10.
Good evening. Authorities today listed the cause of the fatal fire in the Osage Beach condominiums Tuesday night as undetermined. To begin tonight's coverage, Megan Lane joins us live from the Compass Point condominiums to explain why no specific cause could be identified.
Kermit, that's right. The cause of this fatal fire is undetermined. The investigator with the State Fire Marshal's office today wrapped up his on-site investigation here at the Compass Point condominiums. Osage Beach Fire Protection District Chief Jeffrey Dorhauer said the reason the cause of the fire is listed as undetermined is primarily due to the heavy amount of damage in what's believed to be where the fire started. Authorities think it started in the breezeway just outside of the door of the unit where those 4 young children were staying.
What we're doing right now is we're still interviewing witnesses. We're getting statements from firefighters on what they saw as they pulled up. We're taking video cam from personal cell phones. We're taking video from police department vehicles as they arrived. And what we'll try to do is we take these individual pieces of the puzzle and try to put them together to get a clearer picture that may lead us to a more definite cause.
This is still considered a crime scene. That's because of the deaths of those children and the extent of the property damage. But Chief Dorhauer says at this time, they don't think it was arson. And as this investigation continues, the listing of undetermined could change. Live in Osage Beach, Megan Lane, KRCG 13.
Today would have been the 2nd birthday for one of the little girls who died in the Compass Point fire. KRCG 13's Elizabeth Hoffman has more on that.
Little Kyrie Helton had her birthday party with her cousins Tuesday night, but she didn't live to see her actual birthday. She would have turned 2 on Thursday. Kyrie, along with her 3 cousins, Joshua Hendrickson, Leanne Hendrickson, and Ziza Bradshaw, were all at the party, and just a short time later, all 4 of them died in the tragic fire. Neighbors Jay and Elizabeth Grave lived in the same condominium.
On the day of the fire, Kyrie and her mom were out, coming down the stairs, and I said hello.
Their family lost all of their personal belongings, but they did escape the fire uninjured. Elizabeth remembers seeing little Kyrie playing outside.
Little pigtails most days and ponytails, and she was outside talking about, the mom would say, "What color is this car?" And it's white. And what color is that car? Blue. And
A makeshift memorial continues to grow as children and even some adults stopped by to pay their respects to the 4 children who were lost in the fire. One mom stopped by the makeshift memorial Thursday afternoon with her young son. She told him that Kyrie, Joshua, Leanne, and Ziza were celebrating a birthday party in heaven today. She told him it was a far greater celebration than any they could have had here on earth. Tasha Melton has worked with both families for several years. She said she will always remember the children and their smiles.
They were giggly. They'd smile no matter what they were doing. I mean, beautiful, angelic smiles. They were just good kids, very sweet.
The Grave couple was confident the kids were having a birthday party in heaven.
As bad as we don't like it, you know, that can't be what's going on up there right now.
I wish I could go up and grab them and bring them back, but you can't. And I can't imagine what they're going through right now.
In Osage Beach, Elizabeth Hoffman, KRCG 13.
Residents at Compass Point say there are no sprinklers at that complex. KRCG 13's Garrett Bergquist looked into whether those condos violate fire codes. He joins us live from Osage Beach with his findings.
Kermit, the Osage Beach Fire District's fire code requires sprinklers in all new condos and apartments. But the Compass Point condos were built before the first fire code went into effect in the mid-1980s. Osage Beach Fire Protection District Chief Jeff Dorhauer says the fire code is not retroactive, so there's no way that officials can compel property owners to install sprinkler systems and extra fire escapes. He recommends that property owners install sprinklers and extra fire escapes on older properties, though he acknowledges that can get pretty expensive.
For a building of that age, for a building of that makeup to be brought to current code, first of all, I'm not sure it can be. You know, as code changes, there's things that would have to be done that you'd get to a point where it's probably easier, cheaper, more cost-effective to take the building down.
Compass Point says if a new building is built to replace the fire-damaged building, that building will be equipped with sprinkler systems because of the fire code. However, there are no plans to retrofit the existing buildings at Compass Point. Live in Osage Beach, Garrett Bergquist, KRCG 13.
That's our report. Thank you for joining us this evening. Thus far, the investigation into a fatal Osage Beach fire has provided few answers. KRCG 13's Megan Lane once again is live at Compass Point condominiums with more on the investigation and the memorial for the 4 children killed in that fire.
Kermit, a steady flow of people have been visiting this makeshift memorial throughout the day today, and now residents near and far have lights on in remembrance of those 4 young children killed in Tuesday night's fire. The effort started through a social media site and is an event on Facebook entitled A Night of Remembrance for Compass Point. It has more than 2,100 people pledging to shine a light, set a flameless candle out, and reflect on this tragedy. People from around the country have posted pictures of their lights glowing on social media. Investigators were back here at the scene today sifting through the damage. The cause of this fire is still listed as undetermined, and Osage Beach Fire Protection District Chief Jeffrey Dorhauer, he says to put a time frame on when we will know answers, it's just impossible. The chief also told me that he, along with the State Fire Marshal's office and other investigators, plan to get together and meet about this fire investigation on Tuesday. Live in Osage Beach, Megan Lane, KRCG 13.
Organizers have set up a fund to help the families with clothing and funeral expenses. You can donate at any location of Central Bank at the Lake of the Ozarks.